And good evening. This is the Elliott Wave update for the NASDAQ 100 and the S&P 500 for Thursday, October the 19th, 2023. I don't know where to begin. It continues to just be a very demanding day on our attention, on our thoughts, on what we see happening in front of us. These absolutely stunning drives higher and lower that if you were anything but a day trader, you probably were living a nightmare. But as a day trader, it was like, oh my God, the opportunity. Now, what do I make of all of this? There are so many developments on so many different fronts that are actually lending to how this market is trading at the moment. I mean, believe it or not, Netflix did end up closing and finishing the day up $55. $55, 55 and a half, to be honest with you, and had traded higher. Managed to get itself to close above $401. Now, obviously, it's on the earnings. And obviously, it's now going to be tied to the options that are going to be expiring tomorrow. Massive adjustments needed to be made, massive covering, repositioning, all kinds of things. And I can imagine they're not going to let this sucker go much before tomorrow's expiration. Or we'll see. Other developments that we got kind of happening. We had a big play moving back into Microsoft. Then it kind of faded. Then they moved in. Then it faded. We saw strong moves into Amazon, strong moves into Google that turned and were able to hold. We saw Tesla get trashed today based on their earnings and forward guidance. Stock closed down 22 and a half, but has already marked down almost $2.50 from the close. Or $3, I should say. $2 to $3 from the close, depending on where they actually get this thing. So lots of things swirling around. Now, least we forget that there is a war, folks, that is just borderline becoming a world war. And what I mean by that is that there were missiles fired by Houthi rebels in Yemen. And yep, they were knocked down by U.S. warships in the Red Sea. And so therefore, they didn't reach their intended target, which would have been Israel. And the Houthi rebels are backed by Iran. So is it Iran? Are you just really trying to enter this fight by proxy as best you can? So again, another factor. What happened? Are we going to earn? Is this going to be an escalating war that is going to be all of these now coming together? Like, hey, let's all gang up. We're going to go after Israel. We said we would, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, if they all start going after Israel, the United States will be there. So it will be a world war. We have still a total disaster in our own government in the House of Representatives, where the Speaker of the House designee agreed. It's like, okay, we won't have any more votes. Let's now vote on whether we're going to allow the Speaker pro tem to have this position for 30 days or 3 months or however long. Well, that got nowhere. So now we're back to going to have another vote for the designee. Now, this is just terrible. This is just like so much is not getting done. Now, put it all together. We have a Fed who now goes into their silent period, who did come out today and talked a good talk. But guess what the market did? Oh, yeah, we reacted both up, then we reacted down, then we reacted up, then we reacted down, down, down. And if you just took a peek at the Treasury market, making new lows. And this is pretty much on a convince that the Fed is going to give a pass and may be even not raise any more this year. Wait and see. Let's take the wait and see attitude. Bond market didn't like that. So it's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. How long do we think we can ignore that? Equity markets? Well, they didn't. They didn't. And you're witnessing right now that they're kind of closing in on the lows. As we get into that final 9 minutes, they're honing in on those lows that we already made. Now, let's talk Elliott. What a disaster this is turning out to be. So what I've really done, which I have that option of doing on Thinkorswim, is I can go down to a line chart. It takes a lot of this like herky-jerky fluff out. But my challenge now is, as you can see from my labeling, I shifted and that minor wave 2, in my view, folks, is done. Now, it could still be an ABC, and this could be the A wave and could be the B wave because it hasn't exceeded the low. Let me go back out to a bar chart so that you can see where the low actually is. It hasn't exceeded the low. So that being the case, you kind of look at this and you go like, well, so it's still, yep, it still could be an A wave, A, B, C, put a B wave down here. But I got to tell you, it's just like, no. And when I look at the S&P, the S&P is working on a pretty nasty bar. If you even look at the weekly, it's looking like it's an outside. And if they make a new low, it's just going to blow the S&P right out of the water. Then there was the big conversation about the put wall that was at 4,300 SPX. That's true, and it was huge. But we need to understand that just because they go through it once, go through it twice, go through it 3 times, doesn't mean that it's now been dissolved and broken apart. Every time we saw it rally up, it's like you got huge, huge, huge players that had that all put wall put right there. And so every time they get a rally, they get to get out of some more. And then it chips a little bit more, chips a little bit more. Well, they may not have any more chipping to do. We'll see. So the gamma flows have been just humongous. And so there's, data still has to come out to determine whether what's really going to come on and what's really going to happen with that put wall. Are they devising and putting on a new one somewhere else? Rebuilding it there? So we have to try to match reality, what's happening around you market, from algorithms that are going to be put into control and just kind of go out and trade. Because a lot of the things we saw today were just algorithms, were just premium based, were, not necessarily paying attention to, look what's happening outside of our markets. Look what's happening outside of in Washington, D.C., or even outside of the United States that can affect us here. So I don't know how to factor that in right now. I'm just going to let it happen. But what I will say is what I've done to my account as I put that minor 2 back in place here. Now, again, I'm starting with the NASDAQ. Putting that back in place here, 15,640, 15,468, 469, basically. And out of that, and again, I'm going to tell you right off the bat, I'm not sure that I'm going to count this as minute degree versus minuet degree, because this is the third wave and it's got to go, and it's going. And it's taken a while to kick in. So really, what are we forming here? Are we just forming minute wave 1? So these still 1, 2, and this is how you start them. That would be the degree 1, 2, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. No. 1, 2, 1, 2. Again, I'm going to let it all play out. Taking it down, taking a look on the line chart. You kind of can see it. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Comes up and touches it, doesn't overlap it. The other one does. So it's 1, 2, 1, 2. You know, it just gets very toppy. Like this thing is just going to roll and die. And then we saw that into the bell. Look at that. That's pretty much straight down. Hourly chart, straight down. From 15,060 to where we're closing, 14,850. Wow. That's a big drop. Okay, so how? I got to let it play out. But here's how I am going to leave it. The market will fill its own blanks in terms of how this all will count. But I am suggesting that if the market's going to go up, it would have to do it lickety split and just kind of ignore everything and go. Now, several attempts today gave me that feeling. It's like, oh, they don't really care. They're just doing it. They're just going to do it based on, and they'll say, oh, you know, Powell said this, Powell said that, buy, 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 buy. And then suddenly Powell said this and that. Oh, sold, 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 sold. So again, all of that's off the table. I just have to let the market be the market. Now, how you want to trade it, that's not up to me. That's going to be up to you. And how it all filters out, that's not up to me, up to you. So I'm going to present this picture where I do believe now we're in minor third wave. So here are the fibs that go along with it. 1, 2. So those are this side. 1, 2. Those are these. So what we have. So let me just take it out to the 4-hour chart. Then it'll give me a lot more room. I can open it up, and we have. Well, I thought I had a lot more room. And let me put this up, and now we can take a look. All right. So what we have, again, just going on. Here's the intermediate degree. That intermediate wave 3 would equal intermediate wave 1 at 14,396. Yeah, that in a pipe dream. I think it goes right through it. Why? Because minor wave 1 is like pretty much almost down to there. So again, much lower, but it may provide some support as a rest. A rest, look around, keep going. Minor 3 equals minor 1 at 14,197. Again, rest, catch your breath. Where do I think intermediate 2 has a shot at? Well, I would think down here, but minor wave 3, 13,400. Oh, so what's that mean for that? Down here. Now, what could cause this? Again, pick one. The threat of a major escalating war spreading over all these borders, that might do it. The fact that the government of the United States, via the United States House of Representatives, can't seem to get it together. And not that I blame them, but here we are. So what happens? Nothing is getting done via the government, via the House of Representatives, which is responsible for passing a lot of bills in terms of providing aid to the Ukraine, providing aid to Israel, providing aid to whomever, for getting a budget together, because the government will shut down mid-November. Tomorrow is October the 20th. Less than 4 weeks. If we don't have agreements, if we don't have legislation, if we don't have something in place. These are just things that are sitting out there waiting. So, oh, we're going to buy it because of those earnings? Oh, go for it. Go for it. But hopefully you're trading the options and the options expire and you make your money and everybody goes home happy. But I think if you're going to try to take a little bit of a longer term view, don't do it. There's too much uncertainty. Notice gold. My next stop for gold is above 2,000. Why did it do that? Well, they gave up on the market today. Well, we had a little bit more escalation over there with this conflict in Israel, between Israel and Hamas, which could go Israel Hamas, Israel Hezbollah, is it Hutu? Everyone who's backed by Iran. Okay, so these things are happening, they're real. So again, these fib levels, yep, may provide support, but it's just to catch your breath. And I would suspect that we keep going. And so catching your breath and we keep going. Now, minute 3, if it's that, 14,272. Yeah, okay, that's 1,000 points. Yeah, I like that level. Minor 3, 14,197. I want more. And then still, once minor 4, we're still working on the intermediate 3, right? So when minor 4 comes in, I think it's going to start down here, little 4, and we get a 5. And we're coming in below all of this. I think we could finish intermediate 3 somewhere down in here, but I think it's going to be a little bit lower, somewhere inside this range. We have primary C with 618, which is not going to work for me, at 12,311. So you want to start talking to me again about, oh, never, not in our lifetime does it have a chance of getting down to 98.76. Okay. I continue to tell you this is just what the fib tells me. The wave pattern tells me. I'm not in control of the market. Can the market change? Yes, but I wouldn't say never. I'm not saying never that it can't just flip from here and go back up to here. I'm not saying that. If I have to move this 2 again, it's going to go back above 15,468. Can I say it won't do it? No, I cannot. What kind of probability am I going to give it? At best, maybe 25. At best, but never, won't say it. So I think we need to prepare ourselves. And again, I am a day trader. I'm going to tell you, today was glorious. It really, really was. And guess what? I don't have any positions that I'm carrying overnight. So the market gets to do whatever it wants. I get to come in clean tomorrow, pick it up and trade again. So I'm not even following anymore what earnings are left to come out. We had Tesla, we had Netflix yesterday. So we dealt with them today. What happens from here? I don't know. Now we got a lot coming out next week. A lot of time between now and next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. A lot can happen. So again, these are the levels. I'm looking for 3 to come down into here. I'm looking for 3 to come down even further. And then intermediate 4, intermediate 5. Where am I looking for intermediate 5? Down into here. Primary C equals primary A, equality, number 1. It's a big degree, folks. That's why that number stands out, because of it's 98.76. But when you're doing Elliott, combining it with Fibonacci, what's the most common between a C wave and an A wave? They're equal. 535 equal. And that puts that area. So, yeah, these are real. Now, I want to just take a peek. Let's take a peek at the daily. Because what do? We're looking at moving averages here. Well, guess where this all sits? We still have the 200 period, the daily 200 period here at 14,215. Still actually pointing up. It's like the slow boat. It takes a lot longer to gear it and to get it up into port, or to get it to go flat and turn. What happened today? Now look at right there. At 15,015, the daily broke below the daily 20. And look what happened. It accelerated. Oh, yep, there were a lot of rallies in between there, but it accelerated. And once it broke 15,015, it was well cooked. It had already done its little rallies up and down. And then it came back. And once it broke, it broke. Then it was like, okay, get out, sell. Whatever reason, that's what happened. So what's up next? Well, all we have now, I gotta remember where, not sure why some of my studies are gone. Well, there's my 100. Let me see what, oh, somehow it changed the color. Wow. All right. It's not the color I want. Why is this more of a, well, maybe it is. And I have to figure out where it is. Here it is. Boy, see, they disappear, but then they come back. That was broken a long time ago. So you're seeing that, see, that's going to sit up top. We got the 50 underneath it. We got the 20 underneath it. Here we go. I'm now, why is this one? See something. Aha. That is why. Let me go back over here. See, sorry, but I'm looking at these things wondering, like, what the heck are these things doing? There's a 9. Get rid of it. Now we got it. Okay, whew, I was wondering what that was. All right, so now we're all in alignment here. So now we got the 50 below the 100. That added. Then we got the 20 below. So we're getting in alignment to continue to go down. And then eventually when it gets above here, we really will start to accelerate. Because all of this will come with it. So we got all of the power of these moving averages turning and starting to sharply point lower. And as they start one by one to break the 200, you'll start to accelerate. Okay, so just saying. So that's the NASDAQ. I know I'm taking a little bit more time, but boy, there's enough to unpack. I can't just do a technical picture without filling in some of the reality that's going to go along with it. Over in the S&P, same deal. I brought it back down, and I'm turning this back into a 5. You know, I get the overlaps. I get what everyone's talking about, and this, but there comes a time, even Elliott will tell you, and wrote about it back in the 30s and 40s, that you're going to look at it. In fact, even the folks at Elliott Wave International, who I respect because Robert Prechter was one of my teachers way back when, in the dark ages, that, you know, what they noticed because of the algorithms, because of that type, what effect is that having on Elliott, is a lot of times we're getting more 3s that are really 5s, where you're looking for 5 and you're going to have to accept it. And so that could be just the way this is all fluctuating. This was a lot of algorithms kicking in because of put walls, because of everything that was going on, and they just jumped and they moved and they grabbed. So how does that affect how we want to count it? It affects it a lot, but using what Elliott showed us and told us, there are times when you're going to go through all of your iterations and the count that you had is the count that it is. So when I go to the line chart, I don't particularly like it because of this, and it's real, and that's a very slight overlap, but it's like I'm allowing it because the movement in the market. Now, again, what could be the holdout here is this is A, B, C, B. So this wave has not broken below the low of minor 1. So, or which would kind of nullify that it's an ABC in continuation versus this is being wave 2. If this comes down and breaks that, then that remains right there. But until that time, yeah, I'm not going to say never. It could stop, turn, and go. You know, stranger things. But we're seeing other indications on a daily chart, on a weekly chart, that are starting to build towards, I think we're just headed lower and we're going to continue to go lower. We saw volatility close above 20 today. So here we are back above 20. So what happens when we got this rising volatility? Number one, they got to get out of all those bad trades now, right? Where they sold that volatility, bought the underlying volatility, which got annihilated. So what are we doing now? We're selling that underlying volatility and we're buying the index. Is it reversing? It seemed that way at least today. Will it continue? I think it may, because we're borderline falling into that, what I might call a black hole, falling into that 3 of 3 or 3 move. Okay, so again, same thing here in the S&P, whether this minor 1 and 2, sure. Minute 1 and 2, it's kind of maybe a little questionable because we might have to go up or down a degree. Minuet 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if not, this is how I was taught. You start at the biggest, right? So we already have that intermediate 1, 2, minor 1, 2, minute 1, 2. So is this all going to be 1? Minuet wave 1, of minute wave 3, of minor 3, of intermediate 3? Possibly. But I don't know yet. Got to let it play out. So that's what I keep talking about. We're in these developments, and I can't necessarily see. But that, my friends, is a very steep drop. So we got a lot to work with. We have a lot to keep our eyes on. Now, again, I'm not telling anybody how to trade. I don't make recommendations. And I only trade my own money. So, and I'm a day trader. Again, I'm going to tell you, I don't have any positions going overnight. I had one hell of a time trading today. It was great. It was fun. It was eye-popping. It was like, oh my God, look what they're doing. So you had to be in a position where it's like, okay, I don't really care. I'm going to jump on and carry this long. And when they ran the market up, and they were running it back up towards, above 15,100, trade it from the long side. Oh, and then you got about a 2-minute warning that is like bing, slam. Okay, I'm switching. I was flat, thank God, and I just went short, and then you just got flow it all the way down. Next rally, okay, boom, I'm going to ride that up. So again, it's a lot easier. Now, if you're positioned and you watch this thing, that you're long, you see it's running up, you're happy, and then suddenly it nosedives over 100 points. Oh my God, do you get out? So maybe you did. I don't know. And then what happens? They rally back up 100 points. Then they drop at 200. This is all a product of the wave count, a product of where we sit within this larger decline, a product of taking the reality and trying to match it to the technicals. Doesn't always work well cleanly. But here we are. So S&P, 1, 2, 1, 2, and I dare I say 1, another 2. I mean, that was a pretty steep. I would expect we get a little bounce out of this. But I'm going to let it take. That's why there's nothing else labeled here. But let me fill in. This needs to go up just slightly. And then I'm going to make it a little. I know this is taking a lot longer, but I apologize. 44.30, 44.30, 50. 44.30, 50. All right, so that's good. Oops, get it all the way up there. Get out of my way. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to add from 44.30, add a drawing, and that, put it down to this low, and add just for my minutes. So same deal. Now, again, I'm going to go out to the 4-hour chart, and I am going to open it up so that we can see. And I'm going to open it up this way so I can bring up my numbers. So we have intermediate 2, I have minor 2, and I have minute 2, right? Minute, minor. Minutes are way inside here. Then we have minor. Then I have intermediate. Intermediate 1, intermediate wave 2 equals 1.618. Intermediate wave 3 would equal 1.618 of intermediate wave 1 at 4130. Not going to be. It's going to go through it, but I'm leaving it there as a resting point. So now we're down to the minor. Minor wave 3 would equal minor wave 1 at 40.67. I'm looking for more. Wave 3, often, most often, longest and the strongest. Just cannot be the shortest. I'm always going to look at it to be a little bit longer than wave 1 to take all the pressure off of the count and a fifth wave. Fifth waves can extend. Absolutely, they can extend. So I want this to be the longest going into wave 5. So I'm looking for it to come in a little bit longer, a little bit more than that. Now, minute wave 3, well, 2.618, 4188. Okay, minute. Unless this is a 1, 2, then it's going to be more. Then we're looking down further. In fact, I would have to add, let me go back up here, edit properties, 3.618. Again, you're dealing in a third wave. Could be big. Could be very, very big. Right? 3.618, 4,098. Okay. Minute wave 3. Yeah, that works. That's 300 points from here. Yep, that works. Then we get a little bounce. Here we have the minor. Still could work, but I'm looking for more. If that's going to be the minute third, get a little rally, minute 4, and then a fifth coming down, probably get more than that, and then I'll be sitting pretty. I'll be liking it. Then we get another rally and a minor 4, a minor 5. Somewhere down in here. And then that's going to be intermediate 3. We get intermediate 4, intermediate wave 5 to put in that C wave. We're still looking for down here. So it still all really fits. Let's see how it all plays out. Again, let's take a look at the daily. I want to take a look and see what our moving averages were doing today. We broke that 200, and you can see where it was sitting. I talked about it. Sitting at 43.33. And when it broke, look what happened. Get out of the pool. When it broke 43.33, it did finally just, it came down, it broke it once, rallied all the way back up, came down, broke it again. Get out of the pool. And then it just went. So, negative bars. I'd be looking, and you can always double check for those, you can just kind of put them into a candlestick and look at that. Red. As I said in the movie, red rum. That's what's going to happen to the market. Red rum. Okay, so I'm going to complete it right there. This has been long enough. Thank you all. And again, if you joined me on, caught me on the presentation I made this afternoon, thank you. I hope you enjoyed it. And in the meantime, next update will be on Sunday, the 22nd. I undoubtedly going to have to do a big picture update because so much is going on. I am promising people that I'm going to get a view in gold, so I got a lot of work to do over the weekend, and I may start it tomorrow. But our next Elliott wave update no later than Sunday. Have a great weekend, everybody. Trade safe tomorrow. Let me just double check before I sign off on any numbers that are coming out on Friday. Only the Cleveland Fed President, Loretta Meester, speaking. And I thought today was the last day for the silent period, but I guess she gets to talk tomorrow. So maybe it starts tomorrow. No economic data. Market's going to be up to what's happening in the news. But I truly, I would think we're going to continue to go lower. We'll see. Have a great trading day tomorrow. Have a great weekend. And next update, like I said, at the latest Sunday.